Town City Council. Mr. Ron Thomas. You have a prayer
Oh,
for us?
okay. Let's pray, Speaker. Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day. We're thankful for this community. We're thankful for this opportunity to meet as we're doing today. We're thankful for those individuals that serve in the military today and have served that make this opportunity possible. Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us during the meeting, that the decisions we make will be pleasing to thine eyes. These things we ask today and every day in the holy name. Amen.
Amen. Federal Scouts, so join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, well, this evening is the Ed Pope Show.
As it has been in the past.
You're right, yeah, we're delighted.
The first item we're going to talk about is a trail project that has been ongoing for a couple years. Quick history, Green Space actually worked with the Lincoln Trail Area Development District, submitted this grant application. The city had to be the local government agent. So we got involved in the application process. We were awarded money by the state. It's federal money, but it comes through the state. The award was done in 2014. It took the state about a year and a half to get the grant agreement. So we actually did not sign the agreement with the state until late 2015. There were some additional requirements to meet to get us to today, but to this point, a archaeological survey has been done of the area. The proposed area is a trail connection from the Hardin County Government Center parking lot down to Cardinal Creek, and then through a area that Green Space refers to as the Cardinal Creek Preserve, back towards Johnstown Road, to tie in along Shaw Creek to the Bantam Shaw Trail, which ties you down to St. John Road. So it's another piece in the puzzle, but it's a connection to a public piece of property that has parking. So there will be a trailhead up on the county government parking lot, again, just as a better identifier as part of the trail system. But like I said, the plan specifications were prepared. We had to hire a design engineer to do that, and the plans had to be reviewed and approved by both the Department of Local Government, which is the funding agency, and the Transportation Cabinet, because the federal money is federal transportation dollars. So that's why it's taken so long to get agreements signed and then prepare plans and get them approved by state agencies, because we're dealing with multiple agencies. And because we were disturbing any kind of land, you also have to go through the State Historic Preservation Office and go through that process too. So,
Any Indiana pass?
luckily, we did not come across any of that in this connection. So, but like I said, that's why it's taken an extended time. If you're wondering, okay, we were awarded in 2014, we signed agreement in late 2015. Why is it taking so long? I mean, it's just the multiple layers in dealing with the state and federal processes that have got us. But the project has been bid. The bids were received in February. We received 2 bids. They're attached with the memo. The low bid was from Phillips Brothers Construction. That dollar amount is within the grant funding amount. It's a 50-50 program. We can use some in-kind match So we're going to try to do that to reduce the city share, so we won't necessarily be spending. I think the total grant is for around $70,000, so we won't actually be spending all of that in cash. But it will remind the council that as part of the grant agreement, that if there all additional costs over that grant amount are the local responsibility. So we've been working with Green Space to try to keep those costs down, and they've been sharing and doing some things too to get credit for that.
So how long is the trail?
This section is, because it's got a switchback in it, it's probably about 1,000 feet in length.
Is the trail on the side of the Cardinal Creek subdivision or the other side of the creek?
This section that the grant money is going to go for is actually all on the county's property. This is a paved section. It's going from the parking lot. There will be a kiosk and a trailhead there. The county is designating 2 parking spaces in their lot, and it's a switchback because of the grade. We have to make it ADA accessible down to the stream side. And then the trail, I think, runs mostly on the other side of the
Curious,
stream.
because there's actually a couple of caves over there that I used to crawl through when I was a kid. Relative to the chagrin of my parents that they found out, but
That may be on that, what Green Space calls that Cardinal Creek Preserve lot, Bill. I haven't personally walked that section, so I don't know. So.
I've been here. I know what Casey's talking
Yeah,
about.
I forgot about 1,000 feet
In
in.
one.
1,000 feet.
Yeah, we've got several switchbacks on it to keep the grade down to go down the hillside. I mean, it's,
I just think that's expensive for 1,000 feet. I'm
Well-
hoping to be longer than 1,000 feet.
well, I mean, we're excavating a hillside to get it at ADA grades. I mean,
it's
and
gonna be
there's,
paved, it's not gonna be rough.
it's paved, there's a couple drainage structures under it because of the, well, I mean, it's within our estimate and within the grant amount. I'm sorry, the cost is what it is, but I mean, there's, they're also doing the footers and the foundation for the kiosk, and there's some landscaping along the trail too. I mean, it's not just all the pavement, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of excavation, like I said, because we've got several switchbacks in it to get down that hillside.
it's cheaper than $7.2 million.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I would agree.
No, not proportionately.
Is this way Mr. Bennett did it?
So we,
Part of it?
Wow.
so we've got that aspect of it. The other aspect of it is the state prescribes the type of easement we must obtain. And even though it's on public properties from the county, the city has to get an easement from the county for the trail.
That's free, isn't it?
Yes, we're not,
They're short funds.
Yeah.
They may be charging us now.
no, no, we've been working with the county on this project, and no, there's no charge for that. And like I said, the county is designating 2 parking spaces in their lot by the trailhead kiosk and all that. So no, we've worked with the grounds folks out at the government building and the county engineer and that. I mean, we did have to, the plans, like I said, the layers we went through, I mean, Robert had to review them as the city's floodplain coordinator. I mean, we had to put a notice in the paper about all that and wait that comment period because some of this is touching along the floodplain area and stuff. So one of the concerns over the easement between the city and the county has been because it's a trail and the exemptions that they have and we have for recreational purposes, and the state requires language in there about insurance. So that's one of the things I wanted to bring up to you all. The county has insurance. We think under the KRS 411, because it's for recreational purposes, there's some I guess, immunities that we all enjoy, but to protect everybody, the county has their insurance, and we're putting a statement in there that they carry their general property liability insurance. The county asked, because they're giving the easement to the city, would we name them as an additional insured under our policies? We checked with Cornell Hignite and KLC, and they think that's appropriate. So there's going to be language in that easement that we're kind of covering each other from an insurance wise. And I know that's a topic that you all get concerned about, especially when we're dealing with these kinds of uses. But we think we've got everybody covered, and everybody agreed to it, and we've got state statutes and all that. But like I said, there'll be some language. So
Who
what-
maintains it once it's done?
the agreement is it will be maintained by Green Space. So, but the easement is to the city. But that's our agreement with Green Space, is that, again, even though
Is that
this,
because we're building it?
yes. So what we will propose for the agenda for next week is a couple things. One, to accept the bid to construct the trail. And then secondly, to authorize the execution of the easement, because it's not on our property. And like I said, it's actually being constructed on county property.
How much have we already spent?
Under right around 20,000.
Is that part of the 70,000?
Yes. So like I said, we're right at the number as far as the grant goes, but we're trying to get, like I said, some in-kind services so it won't all be cash money out.
Well, but it's gonna be, if we've already spent 20,000 and we still gotta pay 52,000.
I think we've got I think we've got some in-kind credit on some of that though, Marty. But you're right. I mean, it's right at the number. And like I said, so
Is
it's,
that the best use? I still think it's a lot of money for 1,000 feet. Yeah, I know you're having to grade it and all that, but it just seems like it's a lot of money for it. We could have done and got more trail out of it.
I mean, it depends on what level you're constructing the trails to. I mean, they get more expensive when we start
You do switch backs on that.
paving things.
Well, I get that, but
And we need connections. I mean, it doesn't do a lot of good if you have a trail system and it's along the creek and nobody can ever get to it. So, I mean, that's one of the things that in trying to make connections, and this was a good spot to make a connection in. I mean, it's a way for the city and the county and Green Space to all work together on the whole
Well, and
system.
look what local paving did, Marty. I mean, they thought it was worth 71.
And I'll give you the green light from my point of view, because it is expensive, but as we grow, and we don't have these green spaces, I think we'll regret that we didn't put those.
I think we should put them in, but I don't, it's a lot of money.
The rest of the trail is just what, rock?
Uh,
We're doing this 'cause it's leaving a parking lot?
some of it is, but I mean, I will tell you, I mean, it's, that used to be the philosophy that Green Space, that they wanted to leave things as natural, but they are now changing in their outlook again because of, I mean, as Bill points out, the usability of some of this stuff. I mean, to make sure it's truly available to everybody. I mean, so people with some disabilities, even I think the Green Space Board has found that even in some of the natural trails, because of an aging population, folks who are still not with a disability but trying to get out, I mean, that tree root on the trail or rock, or it's muddy and slippery and stuff. So, I mean, there's an effort on their part to go to more paved trails too. And like I said, this is part of that effort, part of that connection and system to do that. So I mean, I think we'll see more of this in the future, that like I said, we used to have just natural. I think we're going to see more paved trails again, because it opens up to the usability to more users and stuff.
The other question is, as far as the paving goes, how durable is that gonna be in a flooding event? We get high water, we start getting the water on the pavement, it gets under the pavement, how durable is it?
I think the cross section is 4 to 6 inches of rock, and then the pavement itself is 2 to 4 inches in depth. So, I mean, we're building it almost as much as we build our city streets.
Okay.
Okay, the next items are annexations, and we actually have two to make you aware of. The first is out Bardstown Road on the east side of town, the other side of the I-65. It is a request by Kenton Cole, which is the Pence family. It's a 2-acre site that they have purchased that fronts along US 62, and it adjoins several hundred acres that they own along the interstate and behind Denny's and Days Inn and all that area. So this will take us just a little bit further east. They have submitted all the paperwork. We had talked to you all about this previously. They signed the consent form. Actually, it is scheduled to go before the Planning Commission tomorrow evening for a public hearing on the proper zoning designation on the property, and you all will then probably see that before you as an ordinance, maybe as early as next week, if not by the 1st of April.
How many
for
acres
sure.
did you say?
That site is only about 2.5, Ron, but they own several hundred behind that.
Okay.
This actually helps all of us that they've purchased more land, because we've looked at spacing of city streets into that development and opening up. And now that they own some more frontage, it's actually going to allow us to work with the highway department and probably have better spacing of some of the roadway access into that property and into the future. They don't have any immediate plans for development. So even though they're doing the annexation, we do not anticipate that we'll see any proposed development on the property in any time in the near future, because they've owned the land probably for 20 years or more and haven't developed yet.
So we're only doing the 2.5, all the other land they have is still outside the city?
No, it is currently inside the city. So
Okay.
they looked at it and said, well, all our other land's in the city, and we know we're going to deal with the city someday on subdividing. We might as well go ahead. And I think they bought this lot in the last year or two. So it's just been a recent purchase. The other land they've owned for 20 plus years. So, and I would imagine that they will look at other frontage along that as it becomes available. Okay, the other one is on 62, but on the west side of the community. It involves multiple pieces of property. You all had before you all last week the approval for the sewer project, or the rebate under the allocation for John Knight's property out there. Well, because of the sewer line that was brought up in that area, we've now had some other interest from property owners saying, okay, we knew the construction went on. We'd like to at least think about annexation. So the Harlan Williams estate, and they own 2 pieces of property, were the initial ones who contacted us about annexing their land. They own 2 pieces, somewhere between 12 to 15 acres in size, I think theirs is. In talking with Mr. Knight, he owns the house next to his business, so he said, well, might as well include me in the annexation too. And then behind their properties. So those are the lots that are along 62. Behind those, Alltech actually owns about a 10-acre site that does not have any direct street frontage. The county allowed them to subdivide the property a number of years ago and placed a condition upon it that they would work toward annexation into the city so that that piece could be consolidated with the other properties that they own on Alltech Drive. As you all know, recently the industrial revenue bonds were paid off on that property. The city actually held title to that for the longest time. So we've now transferred that property back to Alltech so they can now consolidate this track in with the lot where their main plant operation fits. So because of that, they want to be included in the annexation also. So total, that one's probably going to be around 25 acres or so. One of the things that we will do with this annexation, though, is clean up a problem that we have had out along US 62. I don't know, the city limits, one side you're in, one side you're not, and then some of it you are, and then you're back both ways. And actually from the intersection back from Bacon Creek Road, US 62 is not inside the city limits, but our police and fire get called out there all the time. Central Hardin High School sits there and they're called because Central Hardin High School is in the city limits. They're asked to direct traffic. Well, when they're standing out in the right of way of 62 doing those things, they're actually not in the city limits anymore. So because of the confusion, because the property on the north side of 62 is all going to be in the city limits now, we thought we'd clean that up and include that right of way as part of the annexation, just so that, because it does cause confusion for dispatch to tell them, okay, is it 2862 or is it 4200 block, and should you go or not go? So we end up responding most of the time anyway, because the property is inside the city. So we'll clean up the right of way. So that one may look a little bit unusual to you all from a mapping standpoint when we get to that point. We don't have all the consent forms signed on that one yet, so there's no public hearing scheduled before the Planning Commission for that zoning. But in talking with the property owners, I would anticipate that that will probably take place in either late April or early May. So you'll probably again see the one out east. You'll see in the next 30 days. The next one, it may be 60 days or more before you all see that one. So,
And then, did you say the Alltech property would be
included? They own about 10 acres that is actually landlocked right now. I mean, they own the adjoining piece, so it's by a separate deed and doesn't have frontage anywhere. So they're going to work with us on a consolidation plat too to put all that property together.
Thank you, Ed.
Okay.
Nice to see you. See you next week. See you next week. How's rehab going?
Bill, Bill.
It's a piece of cake.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Camera's not here. Hey, next week for the camera. Did you get yours?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, next week when the camera's here, we'll do this.
Yeah, I got mine.
Did you get one, Cindy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll give you mine. When is it?
It's a lot of money going through 6
I know.
They did everybody like this.
I know.
I was shocked. No, he is on.
Do quite as well.
It seemed like he's still all the way out there.
I know. I have to do this.
There's.
Eat that Mr. Hall.
Sid.